podcast, follow my blog, watch my YouTube videos.
From who?
I got like 35 new followers on Twitter, so I always follow them back just because, they
Yeah.
follow me, so why not? But then after I do, I'll get a slew of messages. Look at my blog, look at my
Yeah,
podcast, look at my
and they do
YouTube.
that. I hate when people do that.
I'm up to
All right.
I'm
Here
almost
we
gonna
go.
break 800.
Let's see. Where are we at here? All right. All right, we're back. This is the Midpoint Marvelous Facts section where Carl takes over. He shares some, you got first issue appearances, some strange facts. What do you got for us today?
All right, I've got first issue appearances and a little bit of something on Luke Cage, Generation X, and Baron Zemo from Secret Empire. So, first off, we've got Luke Cage's first appearance was in Luke Cage Heroes for Hire #1 in June of 1972. And Cage was the first African American superhero to start in his own solo title. Unlike Black Panther, who was not an American, and Falcon, who shared the bill with Captain America, his book also started during the blaxploitation age. Do you have anything on Luke Cage?
I've just found out that apparently he owns a jacket that's as durable as his skin from having been exposed to the Power Man treatment during his second exposure. And I found that in two different places. I had no idea. I haven't seen him wear a jacket in forever. So
I haven't seen him wear a jacket at all.
Apparently that's floating around somewhere. He's got a power jacket.
I never knew that.
What about Generation X?
All right, so for Generation X, their first appearance was in Uncanny X-Men 318 in November of 1994. And then with Jubilee being the current leader of Generation X, according to this book, she's gone through a lot of changes through the comics. During M Day, Scarlet Witch took her powers. She was turned into a vampire later on, and she also at one point lived in a mall.
Homeless teenage vagabond.
Yeah.
What's funny is she was rich. Her parents were rich, and when she found out about her powers, she went home and told her parents about it. And then when her parents died, she just ran away and lived in the mall that she almost blew up with her powers.
Huh. Just to highlight some more of this vampire business here. It's during the Curse of the Mutants storyline where Jubilee becomes a vampire. And then there's a 4-issue miniseries, Wolverine and Jubilee, which details like her coming to terms with being a vampire, apparently. So this is still canon. And then her baby is an adopted baby that she found and named Shogo. So that's kind of the latest rundown of Jubilee's kind of history and stuff. If you are for some reason interested in Jubilee as a character, which I'm sure some people are, she's not one of my favorite X-Men, never really has been, but if that's something you want to read more about, Jubilee becoming a vampire, no matter how crazy that sounds, that's where you go do that. There was Old Man Logan had a 2-issue miniseries where Wolverine was fighting a vampire that had kidnapped Jubilee. And yes, they mentioned she was a vampire in there too. That was at the beginning of the year. The art is crazy. It was like a Sorrentino. He was on a break, so the art is a little different. But I ended up enjoying the art, even though it is kind of crazy and super stylistic. For the Sorrentino, I don't know who does it, but Sorrentino was on a break for these 2 issues. While this went down.
And speaking of that,
together.
I was speaking of that, that was the plan of the vampires who took Jubilee, was to get the X-Men there so they could turn all the X-Men into vampires. And when Wolverine was the main one that showed up, Jubilee actually bit him, and his healing factor saved him from turning into a vampire.
What were you going to say, Trev?
Oh, I was going to say they had a mini series together Wolverine and Jubilee. I'm looking it up now. I saw it on.
Yeah, that was the Wolverine and Jubilee is her coming to terms with being a vampire, basically. That's what that miniseries was.
Oh, there it is, Curse of the Mutants. It's a 4-issue mini.
Yeah, so that's all. That's Jubilee's rundown. The current star of Generation X, which we panned earlier. But we're going to get to Secret Empire now. Secret Empire #2 to be exact. So the latest issue came out this week, fresh on the heels of the new comic book day stuff. There's just a lot of things going down in this series, and the timeline is kind of really fuzzy right now still. So, that's kind of affecting some of my enjoyment going into this issue, just to know where my state of mind is at. But we're going to get into the solicit here. We're going to spit the bit about some Secret Empire #2 business and let you know if you should buy it, borrow it, or forget it altogether. Enshrouded in darkness, plagued by minions of Baron Mordo, and cut off from all assistance, the Defenders and Doctor Strange struggle to save the life of the innocent people consigned to this hell on Earth. Will the dagger prove to be the key to stopping this nightmare? Meanwhile, will the appearance of a new hero provide Iron Man with the key to Captain America's startling change? This Secret Empire will defend you. All right, so that's our solicit for Secret Empire 2. I guess that kind of vaguely mentions things. There's kind of like people and stuff in the solicit that isn't really broached on in the story too much. Like Doctor Strange isn't really highlighted here.
He's not really doing a lot in this issue, though, right? No,
Yeah.
I didn't see Baron Mordo either.
Yeah, he's just the one that sent them there, isn't he? Or no, that was Zemo.
Yeah,
Who's Baron Mordo?
Baron Mordo is he's one of Doctor Strange's nemesis. He's like Doctor Strange's nemesis.
Okay, just a Doctor Strange bad guy.
Yeah.
Was he with Zemo when they did this?
I don't remember ever seeing him. That's why when it mentioned it in the thing, I was like, damn, I don't even remember seeing him. Maybe I glazed over it.
Solicits are wrong a lot of the time, so maybe that's what's going on here.
Yeah, that's true. They are.
But anyway, fresh on the heels basically of issue 1, we see the champions and any heroes left in this, resistance, digging the people that survived this Las Vegas bombing and destruction that went down, being pulled out of the rubble, and Ironheart's there, Wasp, Amadeus Cho, Hawkeye, etc. We hit our title page, get our character introductions, and then we flash over to what's this called? The dark world or
Dark Dimension.
Dark Dimension, yeah. The area of New York where the heroes are stuck in the Dark Force. Right now we're focusing on Iron Fist and Luke Cage, ironically, who've been a running theme throughout this episode. And they're waiting for the lights to turn on so they can kind of peck their way through this place they're stuck in, surrounded by a bunch of demons. Iron Fist thinks he found a door handle. It's really a demon's face. These two look like they're about to go down for the count when Jessica Jones, if I'm not mistaken, arrives to whoop ass, clear room, and kind of save these two. Is that what happened?
Yeah,
that's
they're in a
okay.
pharmacy looking for drugs for people that they're protecting.
Yeah, that's where they were. So they're on their way out. They get back to the hospital, give Night Nurse all of what they found. Apparently, antibiotics are hard to come by, just because everybody that's been lumped in with these heroes in the Dark Force dimension is just like panicking and stealing food, stealing whatever they can get their hands on to survive currently. So conditions are piss poor. On top of that, Cloak and Dagger are pretty much the only light source. So Cloak is protecting Dagger, who is doing the best she can to pretty much shed light on this Dark Force dimension. but she's kind of like struggling to keep this going day in and day out. And it's mentioned how basically how her light isn't lasting as long as it used to when she started being the light in the Dark Force, you know?
Yeah, she's burning out.
So then we flash to this church where we see just who's ever all huddled in this church together, trying to be stuck up by a bunch of gangsters. They want medicine as well, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Or are they trying to get money from the church people more than they're supposed to? I forget what's going down here.
Yeah, I think they're trying to jack the church people.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're right. They are. They're
It's
they're
for
looking,
medicine.
Yeah, they're looking for the medicine and actually for medicine and food and whatever they have.
Yeah. When Kingpin kind of sneaks up behind these dudes, and these guys kind of start shitting their pants at this point. Kingpin's
that dude's neck.
Yeah, Kingpin pretty much, broaches the guys trying to hold up the church, the people in church and the priest, and he just snaps the dude's neck like he wasn't even there. Then takes out a gun. Well, not him, his coworker, right? Takes out the gun and just blows the other dude away.
Yeah, one of his lackeys.
Yeah, I mean, I love Sorrentino art, but sometimes it is kind of a little hard to follow. And that's the case a couple times in here. I forgot to mention this is written by Nick Spencer and art by Andrea Sorrentino for most of this book until the very end. So basically, Kingpin has saved these people in church, which is, a little strange for Kingpin to be doing the saving here, being in the hero role. But as we know, as Kingpin always usually does, he's got something brewing in the back of his mind for saving all these people. And he's like, when we get out of here, just remember who kept you safe. So that's mentioned. And then we leave the Dark Force dimension and check back in on the Resistance. Black Widow's kind of having like a crisis of faith, and Tony's trying to get everyone to pay attention to this new information that they've uncovered last issue as it ended, which was what this kid brought to them, a message from Rick Jones, basically spilling the beans about this entire situation that they're in. He gives the lineup of heroes that are the Resistance, the rundown on what's happened with Cap since the Cosmic Cube has come into play and become sentient and taken in by the Red Skull, who brainwashed Captain America into thinking he's Hydra and yada, yada, yada. Selvig ended up scattering the fragments of this Cosmic Cube because he ended up becoming attached to this little girl. So Kobik, if I'm not mistaken, because you guys have been reading a little more of this background stuff than I have. Kobik is no longer around and alive, right?
Yeah, now shattered into pieces.
Yeah, so she's shattered and scattered throughout God knows where. They're trying to basically come up with a way to hunt these pieces down later on in the story, which is where we're moving towards. Tony and Black Widow, AI Tony, he's not drunk at this moment in time. I don't know when that happens. That was a weird thing from the first issue. And he does also make sure to mention that at this point in the story. It's almost like sometimes Nick Spencer, puts thing in the comic books like, oh, he's not drunk this time, so get off my back, That's what it feels like. But anyway,
the thing is so dumb too, because he's an AI and like he programmed it, like it's part of his programming to feel drunk or whatever, but he doesn't really feel anything. It's just dumb. Yeah,
it's very stupid, but also like Tony's not really like a huge drinker anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like
not all
that hasn't really been a huge thing in a long time. So it's just, again, kind of something stupid. Anyway, Black Widow and Tony and Hawkeye and everybody kind of around start having an argument, basically, because Black Widow's like, listen, we just got to kill this Captain America fella, regardless of if he's brainwashed, if he's really Hydra, whatever the hell's going on here. She's like, this is too far. People have started dying in mass amounts. Hawkeye and Tony are kind of on the side of, no, we'd rather find the fragments of the cosmic cube and hunt this shit down, basically. So we have the resistance starting to fracture in ways. Keep moving forward. It's really just a giant splash page, which looks gorgeous. But this is where I was confused on how to read this page. I didn't know which way it went, if it went up, if it went down. Did you read it like clockwise? Is that how you did it?
I read it from left to right, top, middle, bottom.
Yeah, that's what I did. The mosaic.
So anyway, like, I don't know. Does someone want to handle this page here? Because I probably read it wrong and had a hard time understanding it, even though it looked great.
It explains the whole cosmic cube deal, right?
Yeah, it's just like,
when it first happened.
And Cap is also, well, this is the Hydra page. Cap is basically questioning his decisions to.
Oh, I'm on the wrong page.
Yeah, he's questioning his decisions that he technically did not make about bombing Las Vegas and so much death going down pretty much under his watch.
Baron Zemo is saying that he isn't weak, that he didn't make the decision. It's his job is to lead and let people get their hands dirty for him, so there can still be hope for Hydra.
Right. His job is to be the face of things and let everybody else worry about the dirty decisions that need to be made, is essentially what Zemo's telling him.
Yeah.
And then there's this, when you go to the next page, who is this person in the middle? Did you know who this was? Like
three different people.
It's obviously the cosmic cube fragment.
Yeah, it's three different people who each have a shard. I think the top one is Namor because he's sitting on a throne and he's got the pointy ears. The middle one, the middle and bottom, I do not know who they are because
I don't either.
It could be. I think the middle could be Crossbones because he's wearing the skull mask.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay.
So it would be like Namor, Crossbones, and the bottom one I could not figure out. I had a tough time.
Venom. I fucking Venom.
The only person I could think of who has a hand like that is Sabretooth, maybe. I mean, maybe I'm overlooking someone else.
Doesn't it look like they have 6 fingers, or is that just the fingernails sticking out?
I think it's just fingernails.
Yeah, that's 5. Okay. But I figured out the top and the middle. I have no clue who the bottom is. So
yeah. So anyway, we get pretty much the inner workings of Hydra and how like the situation is going down, where they're making Cap the face of everything, and his cabinet, so to speak, is doing the dirty work, making these order decisions to bomb Vegas and doing the nitty gritty shit. We go back.
Him.
Yeah.
Because he bombed Vegas, now they're scared of him, even though it was Zemo and not him.
Right. The Hydra essentially wants everybody on board with what they're pulling, and they feel like this was a positive step in the right direction. So then we go back to the Resistance, and it's Hawkeye and Black Widow, who have apparently started a little fling with each other again. Just kind of debating back and forth about their mission philosophies and how they're different from each other, where Black Widow is willing to get, so some more red on her ledger, as they say all the time in the goddamn movie, or and Hawkeye's kind of the more traditional hero route, where if there's even a small chance of saving Cap and not killing him, they're going to try that first,
And he's still reeling from killing Bruce, so he doesn't want to kill another one of his friends.
Right, feeling guilty about it still weighs on his soul. They end up making out. She ends up punching him and takes off, which basically signifies that she's gonna go and try to kill Steve, and let's see who gets their way first. That's what's going down here.
That's gonna splinter off into a book of its own. It's gonna be one of the companion books.
Oh, is it like Secret Warriors?
It's gonna be Secret Empire Uprising.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so that's Black Widow on the quest to kill Steve.
Yeah, it's gonna be Black Widow, and I guess the rest of the people that come with her.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. Anyway, we go back inside. the Resistance is kind of gathering and putting together a special team to hunt down these shards because they've decided this is the path they're going to take. We have Quicksilver, Mockingbird, Ant-Man, and Hercules, who are going to tag along with Hawkeye and try to get this shit done, basically.
Plus Wasp and Riri and
did I miss Wasp?
Yeah, and Viv and Falcon and a bunch of them.
Are they going to use all those people too? Is that another spin-off book?
Yeah, well, it's going to be the Champions, everybody you mentioned, and the Champions with Black Widow hunting for Steve. Okay. Spider-Man's going to be there. And
oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, I was talking about the other group, the Resistance group, the Hercules.
Oh, Hawkeye
group.
And everybody.
Yeah. They're separate groups though, right? They're not.
Yeah, they're separate groups. One's going after the shards, and the other one's gonna.
Yeah, I was asking if there's a companion book for the Shard group.
There is another companion book. I forget if that's the one that it is.
Or is that hunt just going to take place in this book? Is kind of my question.
I think it's going to take place in the main book.
Okay.
There is another companion book though. I just forget what it's about.
Yeah. Well,
Hercules and Quicksilver on the cover.
What is it?
I said Hercules and Quicksilver are on the cover of the second companion
then that's got to be the Shard book. They're hunting the Shard down in that book. Well, anyway, we get back to the story and we flash forward 24 hours later, which is really like weird because this is the first time they've given us in 4 or 5 issues of this event so far, including a 0 and a free comic book day, any sort of time scale with this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true.
It's weird that it says 24 hours later because we don't know how long this whole fucking story has taken place over. Like how long it took Hydra to get down to brass taxes, which is what they've been doing in this event lately. Which I thought was going to be most of this Secret Empire event and story. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just going to be this simple takeover. It was going to be like a fight for the country, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's Black Widow, and she runs into Miles Morales in this kind of like secret hideout she has established, and how he mentions pretty much what Trevitt was just foreshadowing for us, how the Champions are on board with doing what needs to be done and taking Steve out of the equation. Miles is just like, I'm just down with my fate at this point. I've had visions of killing Steve, so I might as well just kill Steve.
It's not that the Champions are on board with what Black Widow has to do. They're following Miles Morales. Wherever he goes, they go. They're a team.
Yeah, they just stick together, right? So anyway, it's also like it's weird the Champions are going this route because that was their whole problem with Civil War and splintering to begin with. Off on their own was they're tired of all the way the adults solve things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's true.
It's a weird story direction to take the Champions, which is pretty much anti the way they normally would go.
Where's Miss Marvel too? Oh, that's right. She's with Daisy. I forgot. Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've got 2 options, and they chose their option on their own. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's just I know it's just maybe the event and the situations are making people act out of character, I guess is what you could say. But anyway, Black Widow accepts them and starts cutting her hand open to make a red room.
Welcome to the red room.
Right. So she's going to start training these kids to kill people.
Some of them need training though. Like Riri needs training. Viv needs training. The new Falcon could use some training. Like they're all newbies, so they could definitely use it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to get some lethal training. And then we flash to Montana. This is I forget who's in this part. Is this Hawkeye and company?
This is Hawkeye,
Ant-Man, and Tony.
Ant-Man, yeah.
Is that who's the dude with the hoodie?
And Mockingbird. That's Tony, which is really fucking weird because I understand he wears the Iron Man gloves for hands so he can pick things up, but what's holding that hood up? Because he's a hologram.
You're right. I didn't even know that was Tony. I'm glad you told me that because this is again not like I love Sorrentino's art. Like I love the style of it and everything, but sometimes it's hard to fucking tell who's who with his character renderings when it's lighting like this, because they're in a nightclub type situation. It's like all neon lighting, and it's even hard to tell that's Hawkeye. And who's that chick?
I could only guess Mockingbird. The chick's Mockingbird.
Why I hated the art in this book.
Really?
So we got
I like Old Man Logan a lot, but I don't think it's a great match for an event book.
So the third frame down, we got Quicksilver, Ant-Man, and Tony, and then the frame below that would be Tony, Ant-Man, and Mockingbird, and then we have Tony, Ant-Man, and Mockingbird on the one to the right too. But the only reason why we know Tony's Tony is because of the speech bubble, how it's red.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of problems I have with that. Like, what's projecting this hologram? Like when you see Friday, she's always like in the Stark building, or the Iron Man armor's projecting it, or Riri's projecting it from her armor, so that's why you can see him in that book. But like, why can I see him here? Like that
makes no sense. I know. I just have a problem with him being. If you want Tony back, just bring him out of a fucking coma. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not dead in the ground. Just I woke up from my coma. I'm back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's do it earlier.
But this is the last page of the main story before we get like kind of a mini backup. This is that group going to meet Falcap. Name's slipping me. Anthony Malky. What the fuck? What's his name? Sam Wilson. So there, they go meet Sam Wilson in this bar because they're trying to. What do they want him for?
To get him across the border of Canada.
Yeah.
They need shards in Canada. They think they're in Canada.
Well, they think they're anywhere but the United States.
Yeah, they think they're all over the place. Then we go to a backup of some random chick running through the woods from the Serpent Society. It kind of looks like a dream almost. You know what I'm saying? With the way the art is.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's another like stylized type thing. So I don't know if this is a dream, and we'll get to that in a second. But she's running through the woods, and they catch her and whoop her ass, basically, for some reason. Before they, in turn, start getting their ass whipped by this shadowy figure, who ends up helping up this lady, who's saying, "Who are you? What do you want?" And he tells the lady that his name is Steve Rogers, and I'm just trying to get home. And he is wearing some like beat up military shit. If you had to ask me what my guess or theory would be, is that this is Ultimate, Steve Rogers from the Ultimate Universe. Like they keep bringing all these fucking Ultimate characters back for some reason.
That makes sense.
That would be my only guess. Or this is a dream that Steve Rogers is currently having, and it's the good him trying to work his way back to the subconscious of Steve. So those are my two guesses.
Or it's time displaced and it's getting already set up for Generations.
I like your Ultimate theory because
I think you're off on Generations isn't going to tie into this event.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Someone made a good point on they had a theory on Bleeding Cool because like the Dimension Z theory, because there was a cloned Captain America in Dimension Z that Arnim Zola made, and he had all the same World War II memories from Cap, so he's got all the same memories, all the same thoughts, all the same everything. But I like that too. I like the Ultimate Steve Rogers too. Someone also made another theory that it could be like they're borrowing from Superman Reborn, like when Kobik, created the new history for Steve Rogers, he got split in two, but that would be totally fucking lame. I mean,
I know.
No matter how they slice it, I mean, it's gonna be lame. But
yeah, I know. I'm personally not thrilled with the reveal at the end. But like, if you're gonna make Steve Rogers a bad guy, just go full Steve fucking Rogers bad guy, and don't pussyfoot around it with this second Steve Rogers stuff. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, as far as that's the end of the book. As far as buy, borrow, or forget goes, this is I don't hate it. Like, it's not a forget it altogether. It's Generation X hot garbage. It just, like, the story decisions and like the way it's being told is just not as interesting as it had the potential to possibly be. And for $4.99 an issue, and just it's just not sitting well with me. It's totally a borrow for me right now. If your buddy buys it and he wants to give you the digital codes, like say yes, check it out. But I wouldn't go spending $5 for it on my own personally. I do love Sorrentino art, but I know that's a personal taste that I have, and he's not everybody's favorite. And I don't think he's a great fit for an event book.
He's going to be doing an extra issue too.
Yeah, I did have some hard time understanding a few parts, and I do have the same issue with Old Man Logan too. But I still love it. Like I don't know what it is. But it's a borrow for me as an overall series and individual issue right now. How about you, Trev? What do you think?
I kind of feel the same way. For every cool thing that I like about it, there's a equal disappointing thing weighing it down for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like some of the beginning stuff. I like the Defender stuff. I like the Cloak and Dagger thing, which was a small part of it. But then there's also like lame stuff like the Steve Rogers. How the fuck is Tony wearing that hoodie? How's he projecting himself? I don't really give a shit about Black Widow and Hawkeye like rekindling some kind of romance that never was. Because, you know, last time I saw her romancing someone, it was Bucky. You know, like I agree. Sorrentino's art is great and I love it, but sometimes it can be a little hard to follow. Lionel Francis Yu dropped out of, I think, issue number 5, and he's going to be doing issue number 5 or 6 now. Yeah. So he's going to be doing an extra issue. So we, you know, if people don't like that art, you know, you're gonna get used to it because it's gonna be a big part of this. McNiven might be doing the first and last, and Sorrentino and Francis Yu are gonna be doing the in betweens. It's as much as I like the idea of the story, like there's so much good, cool, interesting stuff to it, but there's also an equal amount of shit weighing it down. It's a borrow for me.
Yeah. So, what about you, Carl?
I agree with everything you guys say except for how I like the art. I couldn't get into it. It's a solid borrow. I am still interested in this series, but like Trevitt said, for every cool thing they have, there's 1 or 2 things that are equally as important that bother me, especially Tony AI wearing that hoodie.
I didn't even know it was Tony, so you know I can't say that killed my enjoyment of anything or affected anything for me, but like it's still equally as stupid regardless. All right, so that's it, guys. Like that's our 3 books for the week. We'll give you a preview here of what we'll be doing next week, and then we'll run back down of how to reach us and all that good stuff, and then we're gonna sign out here. And end things on that note. But next week, again, 1 Spider title, 1 Hero title, 1 Inhuman or X-Men title from each of us. I'm going to do either Venom 150 or Scarlet Spider number 2. I haven't decided yet. I'm not going to put it up for a vote. It's going to be a personal decision for me. But maybe I'll buy them both and see which ones I prefer, or will lean that way, or because I'm interested in both of those personally. So, but hero related, what are you going to cover, Carl?
Thanks to the poll I put on Twitter, I will be covering Captain America Steve Rogers number 17, the Secret Empire tie-in.
Yes, you guys saved me from having to review a Bendis book, which I'm sure will not be avoided for much longer. But 1 more week, we at least I win. Trevitt, your Inhuman or X-Men title is going to be.
You know, it's a bummer because I was really looking forward to doing Infamous Iron Man, but I'm doing X-Men Blue because that is the best X book coming out next week. Secret Warriors is coming out, but we already did number 1 like a week ago, so I'm not going to do number 2. That just totally led to me. And Jean Grey is not good enough for me to consider right now, so X-Men Blue.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to bring you guys next week. So that's a lineup I'm looking more forward to than the one we had this week personally, where I had 2 borrows and a forget it altogether. Trevitt, you had a borrow, a buy, and a forget. And Carl, you had a what? Forget it.
I had forget, borrow, buy.
Forget, borrow, buy. So there we go. I was the negative asshole this week. So you guys want to get a hold of us or tell us, you like things, you got something to say, get a hold of us on email at, again, Carl, double check me here. It's marvelmadnesspod@gmail.com. On Twitter, you can find it at madnessmarvel1. And then again, go to Podbean, go to iTunes, type in Marvel Madness or Marvel Comics, and then we should be popping up there now. I made sure of that this weekend. But that's it as far as the madness goes on our end. We're all done, guys. We're finished. Party's over. You have a good weekend. Carl, Trevin, anything to say before we sign off?
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good. It's late over here, so I'm in bed.
Yep, everyone's going to bed. All right. Peace out, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Adios.
Peace.
All right, later.
All right, where's my...
It's pretty cool.